The road into northern Alberta feels endless in winter. Snow stretches across the land like a blank page, broken only by wind-shaped drifts and leafless trees that seem frozen in place. As the highway bends away from the city of Edmonton, traffic thins, sound fades, and the landscape grows quiet. Somewhere beyond the frost-covered field sits a complex of brick, steel, and wire that rarely makes headlines but never escapes the attention of those who know Canada's prison system from the inside. This is Edmonton Institution, known simply as Edmonton Max, a place where time feels heavier and survival becomes a daily calculation. From a distance, the facility does not appear dramatic. The buildings are low and practical, designed for function rather than intimidation. But the closer you get, the more the illusion disappears. Tall fences rise into view, layered with coils of razor wire. Guard towers watch over the grounds with silent patience. Cameras track movement without blinking. It becomes clear that this is not a place meant to be seen, only controlled. Edmonton Max opened in the late 1970s as part of Canada's response to a changing criminal landscape. Organized crime was becoming more structured. Prison gangs were growing in influence. Some inmates proved impossible to manage in medium or even standard maximum security facilities. Edmonton Max was designed to hold those individuals, not to reform them quickly, but to contain risk and prevent further harm. Inside the walls, life follows a strict and unforgiving rhythm. Concrete corridors stretch beneath artificial lighting that rarely changes. Steel doors open and close with mechanical precision. Inmates move only when permitted, under constant supervision. Every routine is governed by protocol, and every deviation is treated as a potential threat. The population inside Edmonton Max is not defined by a single type of crime. Some inmates arrived after violent offences committed on the outside. Others were transferred after attacks, riots, or escape attempts inside other institutions. What they share is a reputation for volatility and unpredictability. This is not a place for those nearing release or seeking comfort. For many, Edmonton Max represents the end of the line. Over the decades, the prison has developed a history shaped by tension. Rivalries form quickly in confined spaces. Alliances shift. Disputes that might be minor elsewhere can escalate rapidly behind these walls. Incidents recorded in public reports describe periods of unrest, lockdowns, and coordinated disturbances that tested the institution's ability to maintain order. Each event left behind new policies, reinforced barriers, and deeper layers of control. Correctional officers working here are trained to expect unpredictability. Their days are defined by awareness and restraint. Every escort, every cell door, every movement is approached with caution. Mistakes carry consequences, not just for staff but for inmates as well. Despite the risks, many officers remain committed to maintaining stability through consistency rather than force. In an environment built on pressure, calm becomes a form of authority. Yet Edmonton Max is only one half of Canada's highest security reality. Far to the east, beyond forests and rivers, another facility exists with a different philosophy, one focused not on proximity but on separation. Near Montreal, in Quebec, sits the Special Handling Unit, known as the SHU. Unlike Edmonton Max, which concentrates high-risk individuals together, the SHU is built around isolation. The approach to the SHU is deceptively calm. Snow-lined roads pass through quiet stretches of land where nothing suggests what lies ahead. The building itself does not resemble a traditional prison. There are no dramatic towers or imposing gates visible from afar. Instead, the structure appears administrative, almost industrial. But the security is layered, deliberate, and absolute. The SHU was created to house individuals deemed too dangerous or influential to be held anywhere else. This includes those linked to organized crime leadership, national security concerns, or repeated acts of extreme violence. The goal is not punishment in the traditional sense, but control. Influence is neutralized by isolation. Risk is managed by reducing contact to the bare minimum. Inside the SHU, the atmosphere changes immediately. Sound is muted. Movement is rare. Inmates are housed alone in reinforced cells designed to eliminate opportunity. Fixtures are built into the concrete. Edges are rounded. Windows are narrow and positioned to prevent external awareness. Lighting remains constant, dimmed but never fully dark. Days in the SHU blend together. Inmates spend most hours alone, with limited interaction even during recreation or medical care. Meals are delivered through secure ports. Movement requires multiple staff members and precise coordination. Surveillance is constant, both direct and remote. The design leaves little room for spontaneity or resistance. Not everyone sent to the SHU arrives because of outward aggression. Some are transferred because their presence elsewhere creates risk, either to others or to themselves. Informants, former gang leaders, or individuals targeted by other inmates may be placed here for their own safety. In these cases, isolation is presented as protection, though it carries its own consequences. Psychological studies and public reports have long debated the impact of prolonged isolation. For some inmates, the lack of stimulation and human contact becomes the greatest challenge they have ever faced. Sleep patterns shift. Perception changes. Time loses structure. Mental health professionals work within the system to monitor and support inmates, but the environment itself remains demanding. Transfers out of the SHU are possible, but rare and carefully evaluated. Stability must be demonstrated over time. Incident reset progress. Each decision is reviewed by multiple authorities, weighing safety against the potential for reintegration. For those who leave, the return to even a standard maximum security environment can feel overwhelming. While the SHU isolates, Edmonton Max compresses. The contrast between the two facilities reveals the dual strategies used to manage Canada's most high-risk inmates. One relies on separation, the other on controlled proximity. Both aim to prevent harm, but each creates its own pressures. Back in Edmonton Max, the effects of constant closeness are visible. Noise never fully disappears. Movement is frequent, even during lockdowns. The presence of others is unavoidable. For some inmates, this environment sharpens instincts and reinforces hierarchies. For others, it becomes exhausting. Publicly documented incidents describe periods when tensions reached critical levels. Lockdowns followed altercations. Searches uncovered improvised tools. Entire ranges were isolated while investigations unfolded. Each response added new layers to an already complex system. Despite these challenges, life inside Edmonton Max is not defined solely by conflict. Programs exist, though limited by security concerns. Some inmates pursue education, counseling, or cultural initiatives designed to provide structure and purpose. Participation varies. Progress is uneven. In a place shaped by survival, change requires effort and patience. Correctional staff, too, are affected by the environment. Long-term exposure to high-alert conditions takes a toll. Fatigue, stress, and emotional strain are common themes in officer testimonies and public inquiries. Support systems exist, but the demands of the job remain intense. Many officers describe learning to compartmentalize, carrying professionalism inside the walls while keeping personal lives separate. Across both institutions, one truth remains consistent: these are places designed for individual society fears, but they are also places filled with people. Each inmate carries a history shaped by choices, circumstances, and consequences. Each officer brings their own limits and resilience. The walls do not erase humanity, they contain it. As debates continue about incarceration, rehabilitation, and public safety, facilities like Edmonton Max and the Quebec SHU remain central to the conversation. They represent the most extreme end of a system tasked with balancing protection and accountability. Critics question the long-term effects of isolation and confinement. Supporters argue that such measures are necessary to prevent greater harm. What is undeniable is that these prisons leave lasting marks. Inmates who eventually transfer or release often describe carrying the experience with them long after leaving. Officers, too, speak of memories that linger, shaped by moments of tension and responsibility. In Canada, a country often associated with moderation and restraint, these institutions serve as reminders that even the most measured systems must confront extremes. Edmonton Max and the Special Handling Unit exist not because of ideology, but because of reality. They are responses to risk, shaped by decades of adaptation and experience. Beyond the fences and walls, life continues. Snow melts. Roads clear. Cities move forward. But inside these facilities, time operates differently. Days are measured in routines, decisions, and consequences. And within the controlled world, the story of Canada's most feared prisons continues, largely unseen, but deeply influential in shaping the boundaries of justice and security.